Affairs. True Stories of Love, Lies, Hope and Desire by Juliet Rosenfeld. Read by Helen Keeley. We are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love. Sigmund Freud. Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded. Diana, Princess of Wales. The Story of Professor M. I am a psychotherapist, and this is the story of 5 affairs. Each one has been disguised to protect the identities of those involved or affected by the relationship. The protagonists were not my patients, and I will explain why. Since psychoanalysis has existed, there has also existed an ethical conundrum concerning a patient's right to absolute privacy for life. This means that outside the consulting room, and only under strict clinical conditions, always anonymized, do we discuss cases. We do this because it's how we develop, train, and teach psychotherapists to become practitioners. The dilemma is that books like this are also concerned with another important aim: responding to a growing interest in psychotherapy and the common but complex psychological dilemmas that patients seek help with. Again, it is through clinical experience of patients, not theory, that we understand what psychotherapy does. All psychotherapists observe strict rules concerning the storage and deletion of clinical material as part of good practice. Many therapists, including me, have fought for the right to keep our patients' notes confidential when asked for by outside agencies, like the police or Crown Prosecution Service, to be used as evidence. The private jottings we make during treatment are the therapist's own associations and thoughts, not facts. They are a record of unconscious processes, thoughts, fantasies, and feelings that come up during the session with the patient. This book is about why people have affairs, but it is also about the value of psychotherapy in such situations, so I need to give an account of a treatment to explain what I do. A patient called Professor M is why I wrote this book. What brought Professor M to psychotherapy demonstrated to me what is at the heart of my work, that our early lives almost always reappear in unexpected ways later on in life. However, when a therapist does choose to write about a patient, something is inexorably changed, and the therapist must examine that choice and accept that dilemma. What is illustrated when we write about a patient is the phenomena or principle, not the person, and their identity must remain concealed. Occasionally, patients contact me after therapy ends, and so it was with Professor M. She had read that I was going to be writing a book about affairs and suggested I include her story. She hoped it might help others, she said, to see the devastation that an affair can cause. More people might seek help, rather than messing their lives up, she added in her typically no-nonsense way. So it is with her encouragement, and with the privilege of having treated her, that I tell the story of Professor M. Professor M was an academic who had just turned 60 in a scientific, technical field. She chose to lie on my couch, rather than sit opposite me, from our second meeting. Thick black glasses framed her strong nose, and she wore monochrome androgynous clothes. She had a stern authority about her that I noticed the very first time I met her. Her hair was uncoloured and cut into a chic crop. She had lived in London since university in her home country on another continent, and English was her 3rd language, which she spoke perfectly. She had never seen a psychotherapist before. In the first weeks of our work together, she talked, without stopping, breathlessly, about a man who she had known while undertaking doctoral work in America. By chance, they had met recently at a conference overseas, where both were presenting papers. They had sex in a hotel room hours after this meeting. A relationship began with intense communication by email, text, and phone. The man lived in a city about 4 hours by train from London with his wife and 3 teenage children. Professor M, who was rather a formal person, told me during our 3rd session that she was ashamed to admit she was utterly possessed by his penis. At this point, she had been with her partner for 25 years.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?